Mississippi, welcome to the Mississippi State Maroon and White game presented by Regions Bank, part of Super Bulldog Weekend. And Stark Vegas is ready for some football today from Davis Wade Stadium, where the white team will take on the maroon team. The winner gets to brag. The loser cleans the stadium tomorrow. And a special treat for you today, head coach Dan Mullen of the Bulldogs will be wired up today. We'll take you down on the field, get inside his huddles, and inside the mind of the man who was the Maxwell National Coach of the Year last year. Welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. Tom Hart alongside Tom Luganville. Mississippi State had a magical season last year. #1 in the country for the first time in school history, but they dropped 3 out of the last 4 games. Talking with quarterback Dak Prescott yesterday, he said, we expect to be better this year. Can they?
If they can learn how to deal with success. So much of the next level of this program is about exceeding the standard that was set last year and peaking at the right time. You look at those teams that really had the best part of their year, Ohio State, TCU, it was at the end of the year. They've got to learn how to deal with success and peak at the end of the season.
It's been about development this spring. There is no concern about developing their quarterback. He already owns 14 wins as a starting quarterback here at Mississippi State. There's no worry about this guy and his leadership.
There certainly isn't, and there's not going to be any worry about what type of statistical season he's going to have. You see the numbers there from a year ago. Now it's about taking the next step when it comes to understanding the offense, understanding game situations. Dan Mullen has often referenced when he had Tim Tebow that once they got to a comfort level and knowledge of the scheme, he could just look from the sideline to the quarterback on the field and know that the play was going to be the right one and the quarterback was in charge. That's the next step for Dak Prescott.
So what's on tap for today exactly? For more on that, let's go down to the field where our Casey Smith is standing by with Dan Mullen.
Coach, you've said that you don't put too much stock in these spring games, but what do you want to see from your team today?
Well, I want to see a lot of young guys that haven't played in front of a crowd before and in this environment, in a game day environment, come out here and perform at a high level. You know, I mean, the older guys that have played in the big games, I know how they're going to respond to that, but there's a lot of young players that need to feel this pressure out here on the field.
Have fun today, Coach.
Oh, we will. Have a great time. Thanks.
And it should be fun. That's what spring games are all about, but there are certainly some question marks around this Mississippi State program. They lost some guys on the offensive line. They lost some guys in the secondary, especially at safety. So would you put stock in how kids perform in front of a crowd and on television versus what they've done on the backfields the last 2 weeks?
I would probably put the last 2 weeks above this type of situation, but as Dan Mullen has referenced, this is a game day type of situation. You've got the cowbells going. You're going to have game situations where the coach isn't going to be standing behind you in every drill, and they want to see how those young guys, and that's what spring ball is about. How do the young guys perform when they're put to the fire?
Maroon will have the ball to start at their own 35. Dak Prescott will be wearing a green jersey, as will all the quarterbacks today. Last year he set 12 Mississippi State individual regular season records, including a school record 27 touchdown passes, and completed 62% of his passes. And he's got a great wide receiving core to work with, including #1 DeRunner Wilson at the top of the formation, the top left corner of your screen. And on the first play from scrimmage, they put it on the ground. And Ashton Shumpert for no gain. This is, Lugs, an offense that will look different today than it does when they open against Southern Miss for a lot of different reasons, most of which is they're huddling today. They're going to unveil more up-tempo once they get to the regular season.
They will. They'll keep it very vanilla. They don't want to show all phases of the offense. They want to run their offense, but more importantly, they want to identify areas. We just saw the run game. We're going to continue to touch on that. A lot of production lost out of that backfield a year ago.
So on second down, Prescott to throw for the first time, and a laser complete right at the marker. And that's Fred Brown, part of that talented receiving core returning.
No, I really like the comfort level there from Dak Prescott. Just standing back, comes off with a nice play pass, very balanced and calm within the pocket, really knows where to go with the football pre-snap and then diagnosed post-snap. And that's what you get out of a guy who's going into his 3rd year as a starter. You see the remarkable numbers there, Tom. You would expect those types of simple throws to be made every time.
He finished 8th in the Heisman voting. Able to dump it off and find Shumpert once again. Dak told us yesterday that he thought one of the biggest strides he's made in his game is the completion rate with those type of touch passes, whether it's swinging out of the backfield or hitting a quick hitch. He said those short passes have to be completed at a higher rate, and he's confident that he's reached that level.
They do, and some of those throws are difficult. When you're dropping back and you've got a back flaring out of the backfield, they're not as easy as they look, but it's the gimme throws that you can't miss on, and he's right. Those are the throws that are expected now from a guy of his experience level.
On second down, it's Shumpert once again. He led the Bulldogs in rushing late in the season, in fact, in 3 of the final 4 games. Remember, Mississippi State is replacing Josh Robinson, who turned in a 1,200-yard season. And under Dan Mullen, he's had 4,000-yard rushers over his 6 years.
Yeah, this has been a run-first offense. You take a look at the rushers returning on the offensive side. No doubt the quarterback's going to be a significant portion of the run game. But when you look at Brandon Holloway, you look at Ashton Shumpert, 2 things that you've got to examine with both of these players. How do they handle ball protection? How do they handle pass protection? It's not all about running the football.
So they go 4 wide here, and Prescott on third down gets pressured, and they'll whistle him down. And that's got the white team fired up. Corey Thomas credited with the tackle and perhaps a sack. It'll be a loss of 8.
Now, of course, Tom, under normal game situations, he probably sneaks out of that. You want to protect the guy. One of the reasons why they're wearing the green jersey here today. And, you know, some coaching staffs across the country starting to go live a little bit with their quarterbacks during spring. Not here. I think there's still some question marks behind Dak Prescott. Certainly in terms of experience level, you got to keep this guy healthy.
Jamorrell Graham will be back to receive the punt. There will be no returns today. And Logan Cook on to kick it away. They let it bounce, and that one is going to turn into a sensational punt from Logan Cook. Turns into a 50-yarder after it went unfielded. So we'll turn it over and see Nick Fitzgerald author the offense for the white team. He had a pretty good scrimmage back on April 3rd, a redshirt freshman from Richmond Hill, Georgia. Big kid, 6'5", 215.
Yeah, you look at the physical measurables there, you've got to be impressed. He redshirted last year along with Elijah Staley, who will not be playing today, as will Damian Williams, also off the field today. So we're going to see a lot of reps here from Nick Fitzgerald, who Dan Mullen's very excited about.
He's working with the #1 offensive line. And behind that offensive line, Dontavian Lee picks up nearly 9 yards on first down. So what do you make of Mississippi State's offensive line this year versus last?
Well, you know, this was a group that was really, really sound. They were strong. They were cohesive. Had an awful lot of starts. I think they're going to end up being okay. Don't know if they quite are going to have that gel that they had a year ago. That's going to take time over the course of the season.
Jamal Claiborne takes over at center for Dylan Day, longtime starter, and this pass out of the backfield to Lee as he picks up the first down. You talk a lot in the spring, especially about skill position guys getting reps. Well, they've said that reps are most important for Jamal Claiborne as they work out of the shotgun predominantly in this offense, or the pistol, so he's been getting a lot of snaps in.
Yeah, he's been getting a ton of snaps in, and so, you know, this offense, they've been doing a variety of things with it throughout the spring to kind of tinker with some of the new personnel, and then, of course, with some of these young quarterbacks in the backfield as well.
A little bit of pressure. The pass is complete. And a big first down to Joe Morrow. Past midfield, and the white moving the chains early.
Joe Morrow, one of those receivers that coaches are very high on. He's going to start to emerge, and 37-yard gain here from Nick Fitzgerald, who does a nice job of keeping his eyes downfield. Pocket started to collapse. Very patient, doesn't panic, delivers a strike to Morrow. So now you're in an entirely different field position situation. This is what coaches want to evaluate with quarterbacks, how they handle different phases of the field.
Fitzgerald looking again and gets knocked down on the pass and nearly intercepted. We've got a flag on the play. So the officials want to keep it tight when it comes to contact on the quarterbacks.
Holding, offense number 62, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's Devin Desper who got flagged for the hold.
One of their more experienced linemen. As you referenced, Tom, most of the first team group, a lot of lettermen returning along the offensive front, still trying to find the right pieces of the puzzle. But if you're Nick Fitzgerald, you want to perform well for a lot of veterans in front of you, so you give them the sense that you're ready. Something happens to Dak Prescott, you have an opportunity in front of you. You want to make those guys in front of you very confident.
1st and 20 now for the White. Fitzgerald pressured again, dumps off the screen pass to Dontavian Lee, and a flag down as he gets brought down at midfield. We should also point out, while the White team has the first team offensive line, Maroon has the starters on the defensive front. So they're matching up ones versus ones in the trenches.
Holding. Offense number 60. The penalty is declined. 2nd down.
That's Claiborne, the new center, who got a text before the start of bowl practice from offensive line coach and co-offensive coordinator John Hevesy that he would start working at center for bowl practice. Hevesy saying, you know, really, that first bowl week, the first week of bowl practices, we got 5 days where it's extended spring ball for our young guys, and that's exactly how they use it for Claiborne. Fitzgerald with the out route, complete for first, not quite a first down, but room to run for Joe Morrow for a feel for what's going down on the field between the Maroon and White. Let's check in with Casey.
Well, Tom, Coach Mullen said that the team is going to have fun today, and Dak Prescott is over here on the sidelines pestering the White team, telling Donald Gray every time he lines up on the line of scrimmage that he's over the line and the ref is going to reach for the flag. They're having a lot of fun down here on the Maroon sidelines.
Why are you picking on the true freshman, Dak? Huh?
He should be picking on Fitzgerald. He's perfect to start this game. 4 for 4 for 60 yards. Pressured again and had his arm knocked down. That was A.J. Jefferson who found his way into the backfield. I don't know if anybody in the SEC can say that they return a quarterback with this kind of experience and rate of success.
You know, as you mentioned earlier to me, maybe Matty Mock, but certainly not the run-pass prowess and that dynamic ability to keep the defense honest. When you're playing a guy like Dak Prescott defensively, all 11 players have to account for the quarterback run game. Puts a tremendous amount of pressure on your defense.
We're going 5 wide here on 3rd and 6. 4th and 6. It's complete for a first down to Dedrick Thomas. Thomas finally taken down by Jameer Irvin-Sills. Pickup of 19. And so the White team continuing this drive, converting on 4th down.
Just your basic slant route underneath the Sills, and I like this call because you spread the field out, you create some space for Nick Fitzgerald to be able to see things clearly, get the ball out of his hand quickly, not forcing him to hold on to the football, and he converts, he answers the toll.
Great drive for Nick Fitzgerald. White team quarterback. Back to Dontavian Lee. Nice spin move and inside the 10. And the White team's knocking on the door. Irvin-Sills brought him down after a gain of 12.
Very impressive execution to this point. Again, the first team offensive line for the White team going against the first team defensive front for the Maroon team here for Mississippi State. So you've got ones versus ones, but a very efficient and effective drive here with a multitude of all kinds of different formations and personnel groupings as well.
So they empty it out again. Fitzgerald on the run. He's going to take it himself. And he'll slash his way in for a touchdown from 8 yards out. Nick Fitzgerald puts the White team on the board.
When we talked to Dan Mullen, he referenced Alex Smith as a comparable prospect to Nick Fitzgerald. Only said Fitzgerald's more athletic and he's bigger. You see the ability to escape out of the pocket, not take a negative play, know when to tuck the football, use that big athletic body to convert and get the touchdown here for the White team on the first drive.
Mullen, of course, coached Alex Smith at Utah. Took him to the Fiesta Bowl. The extra point is good from Devin Bell. So Nick Fitzgerald leads them on a long drive, 9 plays and 96 yards. Took 7:17 off this spring clock. And the redshirt freshman took it in himself. It's a developmental program, and that's an identity that Dan Mullen embraces. Very blue-collar approach as that one is tipped and falls to the turf, meaning that they're not necessarily loaded with 5-star guys, but if you come in as a 2-star guy, you may be an NFL player by the time you leave.
And they want to play a lot of players, Tom. And so if you're not going to be the program that gets the 4- and 5-star guy all the time, you're going to need some time to bring guys in, develop them, and then play them as redshirt sophomores and get them ingrained into your program. The next thing you know, 3 years out of high school, a player is an entirely different guy, and that's what Dan Mullen prides himself on.
Darunya Wilson with his first catch of the day and able to stay on his feet for a nice gain. Richie Brown brings it down. A great example of that was the defense last year. They had 3 different linebacking cores that they used, and by the end of the year, they had 20 different players with 20 tackles.
Right.
So that depth will help them this season.
It absolutely will, and that's where reps comes into play. That's all Dan Mullen spoke about for the 15 days of practice. Getting a lot of these guys that they weren't quite sure of, getting them the reps so they can continue that depth of rolling players through.
Strong throw from Prescott to the perimeter, and good for a first down to Fred Brown. Darunya Wilson with that last catch. Fred Brown there. We've already seen Fred Ross. Those guys with Morrow combined for 3 100-yard receivers in one game for the first time in school history.
Well, and keep in mind, you've got Malik Deer and Donald Gray, true freshman, already enrolled here. Deer will not play today, and nor will Jesse Jackson. So a little bit of depth depleted here at the wide receiving core, but a lot of depth come this summer in August fall camp.
Edric Thomas was another name mentioned by Dak Prescott yesterday. Nice touch on that pass. And Ashton Shumpert in the open field takes it for a maroon first down. Well, that's kind of what Dak was talking to us about yesterday. He said, I'm more comfortable on throws when I'm off balance to be more accurate.
And you watch him. He knows how to change the ball speed, where his targets are. I think so much of the maturation process for Dak Prescott has been learning to take what the defense gives him. It doesn't always have to be the big throw to the sideline or big throw down the middle of the field. Put the ball into the hands of your playmakers and let them go.
Second drive for the Maroon team. Prescott 5 of 6 for 47 yards thus far. And as he gets flushed, he throws on the run, complete to the sideline, and great ballet work by Fred Brown. Was he in or not? They say yes, and it's a first down.
You see Dak Prescott just moving out of the pocket here. No panic, keeping his eyes downfield. Knows he can run or he can throw the ball out of bounds. And it looks like this one's...
They ruled it incomplete.
Oh, I don't know about that one, Tommy.
We have replay today?
We don't. Good thing for the white defense.
John Hevesy's on the other side. He's happy with the incompletion.
It was a well-thrown football and a beautiful catch there by Fred Brown on the sideline, keeping both toes in. See Dan Mullen there chuckling behind the offense. He calls today theatrics. The coaches are going to coach. They're going to call the plays. He's there to have some fun. Make sure the crowd has some fun here, too, for spring football.
A bullet pass complete to Darunya Wilson. And there's the first down the Maroon team was looking for. 9 touchdowns last year for Wilson, 4th best in the SEC. And this is his first... He only really has one offseason under his belt. So his upside is still tremendously high.
It is. And he and Joe Morrow are the big guys. The tall, long-armed, can go up and get the ball in contested matchups. And one of Dak Prescott's best throws is when he throws that behind-the-shoulder, downfield throw where it looks like he's throwing it behind the receiver, but he's doing so on purpose. And that's what you need those big targets like Wilson out there for.
Prescott, pump and go. Back to Wilson. There you go. Luke knows his stuff. A 17-yard touchdown strike to Darunya Wilson.
Really good ball placement right there. You got the pump fake on the sluggo. Sluggo stands for slant and go. You're going to sell that slant, and then you're going to run the go route. And Dak Prescott just knows where to put the ball. He's very comfortable with that throw, and it's almost impossible to defend if you get any type of man coverage concept. You see the pump fake there, and then right on the back shoulder, Darunya Wilson does the rest. Very nice job answering what Nick Fitzgerald was able to put together for the White offense on the previous drive.
Weston Graves on for the extra point. They're replacing kicker Evan Sobiesk, who shut down his football career to go to dental school. That may have been unexpected. Graves connects on the extra point. Dak Prescott finds his rhythm, leading a 6-play, 65-yard touchdown before the game today. Here at the Maroon and White game, we are tied at 7. For more on the Pooches, let's go down to the field and Casey Smith.
Well, Tom, this little guy with me, this is Jack. He's Bully the 11th, and he is 6 months old, so I have to hold his harness so he doesn't run away from me. He accepted the harness from his dad today, Bully the 10th, whose name was Champ. He's really cute. I wish that they would let me take him home with me, but I don't think that they're going to.
That is a beautiful look.
He's awesome. That is a big bulldog for 6 months. He looks like he's full grown.
Casey, you don't have any treats in your pocket, do you?
I don't. You know what? They wanted me to pick him up, but then when I heard that Dak Prescott had trouble picking him up with 2 hands, I figured I wasn't strong enough.
Named after the longtime broadcaster and beloved radio play-by-play man Jack Crystal, who passed away last year after calling Bulldog football and basketball for 58 years. Crystal's Golden Prince is the full name.
Notice how they took the C, though, out? Paying homage to their guy down here already, huh?
What a coincidence.
It's a coincidence,
the Jack and the
is
Dak. Nothing doing on the toss from Fitzgerald. And great pressure in the backfield by a host of defenders. It'll be a loss of 5. A.J. Jefferson celebrating the stop for the Maroons.
Yeah, 6'3", 270-pounder out of an in-state kid. Took 2 guys out here from this White offense. You know, the defensive front for Mississippi State has long been one that is big. They're tall, they're heavy, a lot of 300-pounders. That's why this has been a very difficult football team to run the ball against. But from a pass rush standpoint, it's also been one of the reasons why the reflection of poor pass coverage has been an issue on defense here in the past.
3rd and 15. Fitzgerald, a wobbler, and that one's picked off. Coming the other way is Maroon. Gary Green, the linebacker, got his hands on it. Redshirt freshman out of Greenville, Mississippi. And they're happy with their linebacking core, even though they've got to replace some real talent.
And 7-7. Maroon White game here in Starkville, Mississippi, with an interception, the first turnover of the game from Nick Fitzgerald, the backup today here in the spring game for Mississippi State. It's the Maroons ball going in. Good field position, too, here on the SEC Network.
Prescott chased, launches it downfield, and connects. Oh, my, Dak Prescott. He's got a big opening and a stiff arm, Dak Prescott. This is what he does better than anybody in the SEC. Touchdown. He's in trouble, gets out of it momentarily. Wide open, Jamion Lewis. This play was just made by the escapability of Dak Prescott.
He's clearly the leader of their team.
You just don't go into Death Valley and win on a Saturday night against Les Miles' squad. But that's what Dak Prescott and Mississippi State did. He said that night we proved that we could beat some of the best, and that kick-started their run against 3 consecutive wins against top 10 teams. A rarity in college football. Fred Ross on the end around. Some nearly 10. We'll see if that's a first down. And that game, that one game, really served notice not only to the SEC, but everybody in the nation. This team was for real.
Without question. And I think one of the criticisms you would say maybe about Mississippi State is, okay, they're going to start off hot. They're going to have a good year. They're going to win maybe 7, 8, 9 games. But who are their losses always going to be to? Can you beat the best teams in your conference? And not only did they beat LSU, that led to a run of 3 out of 4 weeks of beating Auburn, LSU, and Texas A&M.
Prescott chased. Dak time trying to direct traffic. They became just the 5th team in college football history with 3 straight top 10 wins. 3 straight wins against top 10 teams. And I went back and looked at them. You're talking about 1983 Auburn with Bo Jackson, Georgia Tech in '59, Army in 1945. They were the national champions with Doc Blanchard, a Heisman Trophy winner. Angelo Bertelli was on the 1943 Notre Dame national championship team. I mean, there's a reason it doesn't happen, and then there's a reason it does happen. You have to have elite players to pull that off.
And you got to stay healthy, And sometimes from a scheduling standpoint, you got to have those right bye weekends fit in there where you get a little bit of a rest. And that is how things fell for Mississippi State a year ago, as we see Dak Prescott here doing what he does best, extend plays. Now, they're not going to blow the whistle until he gets close to a white jersey. That's what makes Dak Prescott so dangerous, Tom.
Well, started with pocket presence.
Right. Just has a feel. He knows when to maintain the patience of working through his progressions. Doesn't like what he sees downfield. Now the athleticism comes into play. But look, he's still looking downfield, still looking for that last passing chance. But then the size, the athleticism, the foot speed comes into play. And instead of taking a potential negative, maybe a 6-yard loss because of a sack, you've now gained over 20 yards, 25 yards to be exact, to be right in the red area.
So 1st and 10 now for the Maroon team. Now 2 for 3 on 3rd down conversions today. And a touch pass to Fred Ross, and he gets taken down in the backfield. It'll be a loss of 4.
No, Manny Diaz, who's the newly minted defensive coordinator here under Dan Mullen. You see the defense doing a nice job pursuing the football sideline to sideline there for the white squad defensively. And I think the challenge in today's game is you have to cover so much real estate. You have to cover so much grass. And back in the old days, you'd give up 300 and 330 yards on defense. Everybody wanted to fire you. Nowadays, you could give up 500 yards and still win the game. So it's about limiting big plays and tackling in space. Those are the 2 areas that are so difficult for college football coordinators on defense right now.
Nice stop by Richie Brown on the last play. Prescott looks back to the right side into coverage, incomplete. Trying to find Darunya Wilson, knocked away by Cedric Giles. Giles back healthy again. The junior from Clinton, Mississippi, missed all of last year with a torn hamstring.
This is a really good job. Safety coming over the top late, does a nice job in his own right there. But more importantly, did you see Dak Prescott in his eyes? He comes off the ball, he's looking left, he's going to steer the defenders, knows pre-snap what his matchup is, where he needs to go with the football. That's a mark of a guy that not only has played a lot of football, but understands what's asked of him in this offense.
6th play of the drive for the Maroon team, looking for its first lead of the day. Prescott to the sideline. Full head of steam, and then a monster pop at the end. Aries Williams got stood up. Result is a gain of 13.
No, these are the type of game situations that you love to see Dak Prescott manage. You're going to have a big pop here off of this throw. Pads popping there on the 15th day of spring football. But if you go back to Dak Prescott, if he takes a sack there, he throws it incomplete. Look at the difference in what your field goal attempt would be, as opposed to just taking what the defense gives him, get out there, and now you'd have a short makeable in normal circumstances field goal attempt.
They're going to go for it on 4th down. Prescott looks one way, comes over the middle for the touchdown. Gus Wally, the tight end, with the score from 6 yards out. And did Dak Prescott score that one with his eyes?
Absolutely. I think this entire drive has been driven by his eyes and his understanding of how to manipulate coverage. You know, give a little bit of a wink and a nod to the defense of going opposite of where he's shown them, but really well done. And that's a position, Tom, that Dan Mullen said, we don't know a lot about our tight ends right now. We need a tight end to emerge, and it's been a very important spring for that position as Wally there comes up with the catch on the slant route.
Wally's the better receiver of the couple of tight ends that they have returning. Weston Graves on for the extra point. And he puts it through. So Maroon with a 14-7 lead. 7-play, 46-yard drive. Took 3 minutes off the clock. Dak Prescott running this offense, and after this game and once the semester ends, he's going to be running this team over the course of the summer.
No, there's no question. You've got voluntary workouts 7-on-7. He essentially becomes the offensive coordinator and the wide receivers coach, because that's ultimately what the summer's all about. You see Brian Johnson there to the left on your screen. That's the quarterback's coach here at Mississippi State. Played under Dan Mullen and Urban Meyer at Utah. Very familiar with this scheme. So he's going to instruct Dak Prescott, hey, these are the things that we need to get done in the summertime, and it's your job to be the offensive coordinator this summer when you're out there on the field with your teammates.
White team going back to work. An option look here. Fitzgerald keeps it, and into traffic. They'll blow it dead after a gain of nearly 5. Well, 20 seniors have moved on from this Mississippi State program. They'll be well represented on draft day. Returning starters at the skill positions will be one to stand out, but they played a lot of guys, and they're awfully deep. So when you look at this number, it may not be reflective of the talent and experience they return. It's not reflective of the game playing experience they return. And Dan Mullen wants to rotate a lot of guys. They want to play a lot of bodies, which is what spring football has been all about. That's kind of become a staple of this program. So the starting number doesn't look very big. The experience level is. Incomplete, trying to fit it to B.J. Hammond at the tight end position. You mentioned that's kind of a question mark here for Mississippi State this year. There's a ton of talent in the backfield. Yes. And what the coaches were saying in our meetings yesterday is if we are short in one position, say tight end, we are confident that we can evolve to a situation where we have so many good running backs, maybe we're playing 2 of them at a time instead of a tight end. Absolutely, or maybe you're deep at wide receiver and you're in 4 wide sets more often than not. So they go with here with a single back, and they're trying to set up a screen to the outside to Dedrick Thomas. Great pursuit of the ball by the Maroon team. It'll be a loss of 3. Great pursuit there by 47, A.J. Jefferson, who has already made the tackle in the backfield. He has shown a great motor here today as we've got an injured player for the white team down. He pops up pretty quickly, heads back to the huddle. Again, this is a big defensive front, one that is very stout versus the run. There's a look at Jefferson and another guy along that defensive front. Monster things are expected of, particularly this year, is defensive tackle Chris Jones, number 96, who will be going into his 3rd year, first as a full-time starter, played as a true freshman, but he's a potential early 3-and-out guy. Chris Jones didn't start a single game last year. He should be in that starting group when they go to Hattiesburg to open the season. We've got 1 quarter in the books here in Stark Vegas. When we return, we'll talk to the head man. Dan Mullen will join us to talk about his program, where they stand today, and what's expected over the summer. By Casey Smith down on the field, the maroon and white game, and so far Maroon has a touchdown lead. And we're also joined by the head coach of the Bulldogs, Dan Mullen. Mic'd up, talking with the Final Four coach down on the field. Hey, Coach Mullen, I don't want to interrupt the conversation, but what do you think thus far of your guys in the performance today? It's going pretty good here. It's good to see Coach Allen right here. You know, I mean, they're going for it on 4th down. He didn't come to punt, as he said, right? I mean, that's a gutsy call right there in the 2nd quarter, backed up on your side of the field to go for it right there. Ben Howland said one of the reasons he came to Mississippi State is he wanted to be part of a program with a football team as successful as you guys have put on the field. What kind of impact, outside of hiring a 3-time Final Four coach, has your program made locally, community-wise, and throughout the state? Well, I think it's huge. I think you look last year, the opportunity, you know, we're #1 in the country for 5 weeks. And, you know, just what that does to everybody, that's the first time in history that's happened for everybody here in Mississippi. We got great people here in Mississippi, and it's great to give them that. You know, I mean, everybody in the state, that they can look up and hold their head high and say, hey, even if it was only for a couple of weeks, that we're the #1 team in the country. I think that was so fantastic for all our people, not our fan base and alumni, but everybody in Mississippi. Coach, you're giving Ben Howland a chance to kind of cross over into your territory of coaching the game. It's going quickly. Things are happening fast. He chooses to go for it on 4th down. From your perspective, as you've coached these quarterbacks for the past 14 days, what have you asked out of these quarterbacks? We know what you're going to get from Dak, but what do you want to see out of these younger guys that are getting the bulk of the reps today? Well, the one thing, you know, I mean, the one thing that I've really wanted to see out of Dak is what, you know, his ability to get to a 2nd read, a 3rd read, different throws that he's going to have to make. You know, not just stand in the pocket when make a throw, off balance, check downs, get into the advanced part of the game right there. You know, altering his arm angle to get throws through people and make touch throws. And I think he's done a great job there. For Fitz, I thought Nick Fitzgerald's had a great spring for us. You know, I mean, go make a play. You see, here's what he can do is he's got the ability right here, his athleticism, when it all collapses, to not freak out, still have the opportunity to go make a play. And that's what I've really been happy with him. I was, you know, I wanted to see him come in with a great grasp of the offense and not just be learning the offense all spring. And I think he's done that. He came in, really worked hard this offseason to know the offense so he can really develop his fundamentals in using the offense to make plays. You know, you spoke to us this week and talked about being a developmental program. And a guy like Nick Fitzgerald, not highly recruited, you liked the skill set. You knew that development would have to take place over the course of time. But
when you talk about playing a lot of guys, which you're going to do.
Get it out. There, go.
As your quarterback, there you go, taking what the defense gives him. You talk about playing a lot of guys.
I like points.
What's the balance between playing a lot of players, but also developing them at the rate in which you feel like you're doing it properly?
Well, I mean, it is a fine line because, you know, we got to win football games too in the fall, and you know, we need so many reps. That's where reps are so big this spring. But I think the fact that we played so many guys last year, even though we had a lot of guys and starters leave, you know, you look at what we've been able to do by returning a bunch of players with game experience. That's great. And then this situation today, where you have a big crowd here, guys that are having to make plays for the first time. It's a tougher deal. There you go.
Hey, I thought green jerseys were off limits, Coach.
Well, I think A.J. thought he had a sack on the last one. He was kind of upset they didn't call the last one a sack. So he just wanted to make sure that they were going to call it on this one.
A.J. Jefferson popped.
I think he's colorblind.
Hey, I'll say this: I don't know that they're going to hit 15 that way, but you know, that's part of the development process there for Fitz.
You've got a great view, of course, behind the offense. What do you think about the read and decision-making of Nick Fitzgerald?
You know what I do? I think he's done a great job. As I said, he wasn't really highly recruited coming out of high school. In fact, I think we were the only school to even offer him a scholarship. You know, but you see,
There's Joe Morrow with the drop.
You see, I mean, he's one of those guys you got, and often happens in football. You know, he didn't play quarterback till his senior year because he was at a school ran the wishbone, and the guy in front of him ended up going to the Air Force Academy. You know, so he's a wide receiver. So you saw his athleticism on film. Came to our camp and as a quarterback, and here's a 6'5" guy with a great arm, a great release. He just wasn't in the high school system that showed his talents. Better get it out. There you go.
And he goes down again, but got it out complete. Tomorrow hangs on this time.
You know, so you see these guys of what you're looking for, a guy that has that it factor of what we want in a quarterback. That, you know, might not be a 3 or 4 or 5-star guy that's at all these camps and combines or in an offense where he's throwing for 5,000 yards, that can come in and be successful. And you know, Alex Smith, you know, when you compare him to Alex Smith, just physical traits are similar. He's a little bigger. Alex was really skinny when he was young as a player, and maybe Fitz a little bit more athletic. But, you know, Alex is the same way. Really, at a school, Helix High School in San Diego, wasn't heavily recruited. You know, just because of the high school, the system that they ran and the things that they did, he didn't get as kind of all the accolades, and Fitz is that way, but he bought into the development, wants to work, has the skill set and the talent, is going to be pretty good.
Coach, you've pitted your offensive line, your ones versus your ones, and your defensive line for white and maroon here today. Let's transition over to the defensive side of the football, and share with us your thoughts for your expectations for big Chris Jones along that front for you on the defense this fall.
Well, what we need Chris to do is be consistently an excellent player. He's a big play guy. You know, I mean, he has unlimited potential. I think. You know, I mean, I still don't think he's gotten to where he, you know, just even see the things that he can do. And that was big David and Tavian Lee. But, you know, Chris was a guy that came in last year and made a bunch of plays for us when we needed big plays to be made. And now this year, you know, we need him to be that every down consistent player. Not just make big plays, but be consistent in doing his job every time.
First and goal now for Nick Fitzgerald and the white team. 14th play of this drive after they scored on their first drive. Offensive line, you're replacing a couple of guys. You got a new center. What have you learned from them over 14 practices and nearly one half today as Dontavian Lee lowers his shoulder and plunges his way in for a white touchdown?
Yeah, that was a pretty good run there. You know, I mean, you look at Dontavian Lee, he's had a good spring. He's a big physical back for us. And, you know, I think he's up to 225 right now. And I like how he's run the football this spring. Really hard, physical runner. And you see that, how he finished that run right there, knocking guys backwards.
Devin Bell will attempt the extra point. We're going to keep Coach with us after we go to a commercial break after this extra point. Missing a guy on the offensive line.
A couple of them right here. That's all right. Hey, that's good. Just BJ, that's fine. Get down in there and kick it. Hurry up. Let's go.
Yeah, we told you they're going to be more up-tempo. Extra point is good. 14 play, 65-yard drive, and 5:56 off the clock. White team able to tie it up with 10:24 remaining. We'll talk more Bulldog football with Dan. Going back to work, Coach. Before we went to break, we were talking about the offensive line as Dak gets one away and broken up, incomplete. What's your take of the O-line after a couple of weeks in pads?
I think we're getting there. You know, I think one of the things you see, even this two group is really coming along. So I think we're going to have some depth on the offensive line eventually here with this unit. There's just a lot of new faces. You know, we had 3 seniors that have played a lot of football last year. That's actually a position you know during the course of the year. That's the one position you don't end up rotating as much as others, and you know, and so to see these guys get all this work, they need every possible rep they can get, both the ones and the twos, just to get us through, get us ready, and get that experience. Because there's only 2 guys with significant experience on the offensive line coming back this year.
We expect to see this offense run at a quicker tempo when you open the season against Southern Miss, so we may not see it today. How does that impact the guys up front, the offensive line in particular?
Well, I think, you know, I mean, it can give them an advantage. They're going to be in great shape and condition this year, but and ready to go. But nice throw.
Deep ball.
They got to.
De'Runnya Wilson hauls it in.
You know, they have got to, you know, I think that tempo, that mindset where they're in attacking mode on the defensive line, trying to wear them down with some tempo, certainly will help those guys. You know, playing against all the great quality D lines here in the SEC.
No, Coach, as you look at your wide receiving core, you've got some youngsters that have already come in as early enrollees. We know what you're going to get out of De'Runnya Wilson. Joe Moore has made a couple of catches today. What are you looking for out of that group to give some more weapons to Dak Prescott in the passing game?
Well, it is. You know, I mean, one of the things, especially if you're going to go up tempo, that I like is the ability to roll a bunch of players now. You know, I mean, you know, because you look out on the field with Fred Ross and Fred Brown, De'Runnya, Joe having a big day today, but you know, also Gabe Miles, you know, sprained an ankle earlier in practice with a high ankle sprain, so he's out. Is a guy that's a playmaker with the ball in his hand. We want to be able to roll a bunch of guys through at the receiver position to help with the tempo, so we're playing at a fast pace and fast speed throughout the entire game. And I think when you got Dak here, nope, he's down. You know, when you get Dak, the fact that he's comfortable with all these guys, especially even the young guys like him, Dedrick Thomas, who had some catches out here, Malik Deer and Donald Gray that enrolled early, that they're going to have a little bit of a comfort of him throwing to them, where they're going to be and working together is a pretty good deal.
You've had a 1,000-yard rusher 4 times in your first 5 years. Does this team this year need a 1,000-yard rusher to be successful?
Well, I think, you know, one of the things that'll be interesting this year, you know, the one year we didn't, that I've been here, I think, you know, is we had we rotated some guys, and you know, every year kind of this, when we have a 1,000-yard rusher walk out the door, or Shumpert pounding away at it. You know, everyone's like, oh, what are we going to do now, or who's the next guy? I'm not quite sure who that is yet. I think we have a bunch of quality guys. And when you get into games during the season, if one guy emerges and pulls away, he'll kind of be the guy. And if they, I'd love to have them all play at a high level. I have about 3 600-yard rushers this season.
So Shumpert able to move the chain, and that leaves 1st and 10 for Dak Prescott, joined by Ashton Shumpert in the backfield. There's Shumpert again.
Oh, picked the feet up right there. Great tackle by Kevon.
Hey, for folks at home who just heard you say that, walk us through what you're watching as Shumpert goes between the tackles.
Well, it's a great read to get there, and then you look at the really good tackle there by Kevon Coleman. But it's that power, that low body lean. Get those feet up, break, run through that, kind of pick those feet up to get into the end zone right there. Is what you want. That's that competition, one-on-one. You know, guys in the open field, they're one-on-one going against each other. You know, and who's going to win that one-on-one battle?
Do you consider that these running plays between the tackles, you were so good at it last year, whether it was Josh Robinson, your other backs, or Dak Prescott himself, is that kind of the bread and butter of this offense?
Well, it is. You know, I mean, I think even possibly more this year, just with the physicality of our backs. Josh, last year kind of do it all. He had some open field running, not quite as big as the guys we have now, but I mean, with when you look at Shumpert and Aris Williams, and then Tavian Lee, who we saw earlier, the physical run that he had. In there, those three guys, those are three big physical backs to be able to pound it up inside. And Brandon Holloway, who he tweaked his knee in the last scrimmage, he's not out here today. He's that changeup guy when he comes in, because I think he's probably the fastest guy on the roster. And all of a sudden he might not be big, but he comes in and it's just a whole different speed. He runs the same plays as the other guys, but it looks like a whole different play with him with the ball in his hand.
Coach, a real significant dose of carries here for these backs. And as you talked to us this week, this is an important position for you guys to evaluate, but you kind of know what you're going to get out of them as runners, but it's the other areas of playing the running back position that you guys need to scrutinize. Go over some of those areas for fans about what you do is at that position when you're not carrying the football that's so important.
Well, that's what's huge. I mean, the number one thing you judge a running back on is pass protection, number one. Because it's something they're not always thinking about when they first come in. Ball security, so huge at protecting the football. A guy that makes a special dynamic run in the open field, that's great. But do you do the other fundamentals? Are you great run blockers? You saw Shump throw a great block a second ago for Fred Ross.
Wow, against the blitz, Dak beats it.
And so when you have that, that's a key component to it, is pass protection, the run ball blocking. So many young guys coming out of high school, especially you're coming here to play at Mississippi State. You're one of the better players ever to play at your high school. And so chances are on offense, especially as a skill player, that ball was put in your hand a lot during your career. And the one critical thing that young guys got to learn is how to play without the ball in their hand, which wasn't a major part of their game at the high school level and is a major part of their game here at the college level.
And we know this state is a major part of your recruiting. 63% of your players signed during your era from the Magnolia State. Dak Prescott with his third touchdown pass of the first half. Coach Mullen, thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, great. Have fun. Everybody's having fun here today.
We'll hear more from Coach throughout the broadcast. It's the Maroon up by a touchdown. We'll see how many series Dak plays. Expected to play the first half. May not finish the half depending on the clock situation. Fitzgerald with a bit of a late pitch to Dontavian Lee. Threw an ankle tackle for another yard or so.
If you would have performed, if Casey would have had that interview 2 years ago in the spring, you would have seen a much more shy, I think, a much more reserved quarterback that was much more unsure of himself. And I think what he's morphing into is much more of a vocal leader, much more of a leader that isn't just, going out and getting it done in terms of production, but a guy that's starting to elevate the play of other guys on the team from a vocal standpoint. He's just kind of changing as he's maturing as the leader of this football team.
Fitzgerald keeps it till the whistle. That'll set up a 3rd and short. He had a great comment with us yesterday, Luke. Every SEC quarterback has confidence, right?
Right.
Pretty much every quarterback in college football has confidence.
You hope so.
He told us yesterday, he said, perhaps the biggest difference is the faith that others have in me.
Yeah.
And so that is what a leader needs.
Yeah, when he enters that huddle, or when they're not huddling, and those players around him know that with him under center, they've got a chance to be successful, to convert that 3rd down, to get that critical 4th and short. And I think that it does. It creates confidence for a guy who knows that there's faith amongst the other players and what he brings to the table.
On 3rd and 2, Lee trying to gain the edge, and with his stiff arm, he'll be right at the marker. We'll see what it looks like. We mentioned it before, Dak Prescott will obviously be a key over the offseason for Dan Mullen. 140 days between the spring game and the kickoff down at M.M. Roberts Stadium in Hattiesburg. And so therefore, he's got a lead over the summer. And Dan Mullen's message this week as they wrapped up their final practice Thursday was, we have to get better over the summer. You position leaders, you have to be responsible for your group. We cannot come back in August the same as when we leave. You have to get better individually, your units, and as a team.
You know, and I'm of the belief as we see another handoff here out of the backfield from quarterback Nick Fitzgerald, and they don't get the first down as they try to convert on 4th down. So Maroon's going to take it over, but I believe that's where your chemistry is developed, Tom, from your spring to the summer.
So they turn it over on downs. Stan Mullen says let's go to a TV timeout. 3:01 to go before the half. You mentioned chemistry before we went to break and how that's formed over the summer. Why is that time frame so important?
Because that's the time where your leadership and your team has to take it upon itself to get the work done. The coaches can't be out there with them. They can't be putting them through the paces. That's where your leaders on offense and your defense rally the troops. As we see Dak Prescott taking another shot here, they're going to blow this dead with nowhere to go downfield. But chemistry is something that's different with each and every team. You can't always put your finger on it, but you know it when you have it. And sometimes when you have great chemistry, with a loss of 2 there on that play, when you have great chemistry, it can overcome other deficiencies in other areas. And I think that's something that can be developed over the summer, post-spring, as you head into August. And then it's going to be, those coaches are going to know, you know, this team worked at it and they did it on their own. And that's going to give them a great sense of confidence as they head through fall camp.
2nd and 12 now after the 2nd sack of Dak Prescott tonight. Today, I should say, and that one dropped. But John Hevesy, the offensive line coach and co-offensive coordinator, spent some time at Navy SEAL training, and what he learned from that, he told us, is to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower. And what he means by that and what the SEALs mean is everybody has their own specialty. So if you're a sniper and the munitions guy is telling you something, you've got to be able to listen to him, or else everybody's in trouble. So if you're a player on the offensive line, you've got to listen perhaps to the team leader and your unit leader if you want to be able to lead guys perhaps at your position. Because it's not just the skill guys who go through summer training along with Dak Prescott running 7-on-7. It's everybody. Prescott goes down for the 3rd time, and it's the first time they've actually brought him to the turf.
You know, it's the old adage, you know your role, accept your role, and then shine in your role. You're going to have to follow instruction, follow direction, and then when you're doing that, you're going to lead others because they're seeing how you're conducting yourself. And it's a great point you make, Tom. There's no question about it. I can tell you this, though. Those last couple of plays within that pocket had to have made Dan Mullen a little nervous. A lot of bodies around the feet of Dak Prescott in that pocket.
It's the 2nd punt of the day for the Maroon team. Logan Cook gets it away. 21-14 lead for Maroon. So all of that training between semesters and over the summer months gets them ready for a trip to Hattiesburg on September 5th, and then they waste no time getting into it when LSU comes to Stark Vegas on September 12th.
Well, they're not easing into anything with this schedule, and last year they had a good schedule layout with byes and breaks in the right time spread throughout the season, but you're on the road back-to-back weeks, 2 hostile environments at Auburn, at Texas A&M early in the season. So there's going to be some defining moments for this ball club very, very early.
They have their off week on Halloween weekend to set up a stretch run. We talk a lot about summer conditioning and training, and Coach Hevesy was talking about how they get set for their up-tempo offense that they have already installed and we'll see at Southern Miss. He said, for our offensive line guys, it's different. We need to do run drills, but under different conditions. We need to rep moving 300 pounds 10 yards. Right. That's our rep, and we need to do that 5 or 6 times and then take a break, and as opposed to just out there running, like skill guys will be doing.
Yeah, those line guys, they're going to be playing in spurts of 4 to 6 to 10 yards, but they're going to have to do it at an accelerated rate of 5 to 6 to 7 plays in a row, essentially with no break. That's how you condition. It's almost like conditioning for basketball on grass, particularly for the big guys.
Trying to get to the edge as he turned back to the running game again. And Dontavian Lee has gotten plenty of touches here. They trail by a touchdown. There's big Chris Jones coming over to the sideline. Coming up at the half, we'll have an inside look at Dak Prescott, All Access, and the check-in with the first half highlights and stats. White took a timeout here. White's honorary head coach is men's basketball coach Ben Howland in his first season coming up after taking UCLA to 3 Final Fours. Making a home here in Starkville. And for the Maroon team, the women's basketball head coach Vic Schaefer took him to the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. He's on the opposite sideline. Fitzgerald lets it go right at the marker, and that'll be good for a first down. A lot of spinning from Donald Gray. He's someone to watch. An early enrollee, was a junior college first-team All-America out of Copiah Lincoln in Mississippi.
Yeah, you've got Donald Gray. You've also got Malik Deer, who Coach is very high on, but I thought it was really interesting. Coach Mullen said, boy, those freshman receivers, they're great with the ball, not so good without it. And that's part of that process of developing as a complete player. What are you doing on the perimeter when the ball's not coming your way? What do you understand and know about the offense? And so some of these young guys, including a JUCO guy like Donald Gray, coming in, having to adapt and acclimate to how things are being run here in Starkville.
Dak Prescott has said, I pulled Donald aside numerous times. He can make sensational one-hand catches, and that's fine. I tell him that's fine for a game if you only have one hand free. But during drills, you need to use 2 hands.
Right.
And so that's something that maybe they let slide. At the JUCO ranks, the Dak Prescott is showing his leadership ability. He's not going to let that slide during spring ball, because this is a team, quite honestly, they can't afford drops.
No, they can't afford drops, and that's part of the buy-in process. This is how we do things here. This is how we evolve as an offense. This is the expectation level that is being set. And keep in mind, we haven't seen the accelerated, up-tempo, fast-paced scheme that is going to be employed throughout the fall. So it's great to get acclimated for some of these mid-year guys coming in, but now to be able to process and think really, really quickly as that offense is rolling along at a no-huddle pace. You can't afford to have busts. You got to have focus catching the football, but you got to know what your role is when the ball's not coming your way.
Maroon team 1 of 6 on 3rd downs. One of the reasons we've seen both squads go for it on 4th down thus far today. Only seen a couple of punts. They're 3 of 4 on 4th down. They're going to try to get it all here. Hey, look who's open. A little cherry picking from the Mississippi State white team. Anthony Dixon found his way onto the field. That was a pretty good catch for a guy in street clothes.
Can you imagine if he would have dropped it? Oh, man.
He had the gloves on and everything. When Nick Fitzgerald uncorked that, I was like, miscommunication. Busted route.
Oh, that's good stuff.
It counts. 59-yard strike. And Devin Bell on for the extra point.
It's one thing to hide a guy along the sideline who's in full uniform.
Right. That's a pretty good 3rd down conversion. You quarterbacks are used to finding your own jersey color. He's finding a dude in blue.
Look at that. Was a good football player here. Kind of stood for what this program's about: toughness, ruggedness, pound away at you, wear you down.
So he capped a 7-play, 70-yard drive and 64 seconds off the clock. Ben Howland's not afraid to bend the rules a little bit.
Well, I saw John Hevesy, the co-offensive coordinator. His arms went up immediately. He was so excited. So let's just say that one was planned from a few days back.
Trying to get one more drive in for Dak Prescott before the half comes to an end. Gus Wally, who has a touchdown catch to his name with the reception. They'll take a timeout and talk a little bit more about it. This is probably the last drive for Dak. We'll see, but not likely to see many reps in the 3rd quarter.
And you don't need to. They need to get reps for some of these other guys like Nick Fitzgerald. You kind of wish Damian Williams and Elijah Staley were good to go. Just precautionary being held out right now. So you're going to get some other young guys in there. But this is a great opportunity for Nick Fitzgerald, who's played very, very well. And I think Dak Prescott in this first half has performed well as can be expected.
Over the middle to Fred Ross. Down to the 12. Down to the 17. Dak Prescott, so far this half, they found some rhythm after the first series.
No, he really did. And again, going back to what Coach Mullen wants out of him, he wants to be able to change that delivery point, work from his first to his second to his third progression, be able to change ball speeds and throw from different angles. You know, the routine throws where you're on balance and everything's the way it's supposed to be, most guys at this level are going to be able to consistently do that. It's the tougher ones that you want to get really good at.
Finds his tight end Wally again. Second catch on this drive. 5 seconds left. Maroon takes another timeout. Trying to get a lead before their starting quarterback leaves the game. And they'll bring on the kicking team in Weston Graves. Graves only attempted 1 kick last year. As Evan Sobiesk hit 14 of 16 field goal attempts. So the man with the golden boot will try to give Maroon a lead. From the right hash. Unless they fake it.
Looks like they had a peace treaty going on there.
Off the upright, and it bangs through. So Graves puts it off the post, but Maroon will end the first half with a field goal lead, and we will have a short break for halftime intermission. Coming up, Dak Prescott All Access. But before, let's go down to the field. Casey Smith standing by with new defensive coordinator Manny Diaz.
Coach, you told us before the game that today is about what guys can do when the lights come on, the stadium's filled. How have you seen your guys perform today?
I'm actually pretty pleased with what we've done. Number one, we're tackling. We talked about today being an important day for tackling, and we've done a good job of wrapping up and limiting yards after contact. A guy like Gary Green with a turnover and interception, first time in a big stadium in front of people like this, will give him wonders of confidence.
Another thing that you said is important is the accountability as a pack on defense and attacking the line of scrimmage as a group. Are you happy with what you've seen today?
It has been good so far. Not a lot of running yards against us, you know. Some guys doing a better job in the passing game. We got to cover the NFL players when they show up deep out of nowhere, but we'll work on that at halftime.
Thanks, Coach.
My pleasure.
You can't leave those NFL guys open 60 yards behind the play. Passing of the harness today and more of the same from Dan Mullen's crew. Dak Prescott leads Maroon to a halftime lead, 24-21. More coming your way. We get ready for the second half of action. We'll have a running clock. Maroon leads White 24-21. Tom Moore alongside Tom Luginbill. So we saw a few series from Dak Prescott, first team O-line, first team D-line. Your impressions of the first half?
I think it was very clean. You know, it wasn't a lot of sloppiness. You didn't have a lot of turnovers. Running backs were very secure. The quarterbacks, I thought, were very efficient. They were efficient in their progressions. They didn't take a lot of negative plays, didn't take a lot of risks with the football downfield. So I think Dan Mullen and his entire staff have got to feel pretty good about how clean the game was, because this is really, you kind of want this day to be gone.
Yeah.
It's the previous 14 days that truly count.
Yeah, they want the clock to run. They want everybody to stay healthy. The only thing dirty about the quarterback play was the back of Fitzgerald's jersey. He got popped a couple times. Nobody will touch that man, Dak Prescott. In fact, they may not have an opportunity to in the second half. We'll see if Dak returns to action.
Fitzgerald's green jersey was more of a suggestion than a requirement.
He led the White to a touchdown on a 96-yard drive on their opening possession, and he'll start the second half. Redshirt freshman from Richmond Hill, Georgia. A swing pass to Dontavian Lee, and Lee escorted out of bounds by DeAndre Ward.
No, with Nick Fitzgerald and being a redshirt freshman, a youngster, this is going to be an opportunity in this second half for John Hevesy, the co-offensive coordinator, to throw a variety of things at him, things that are going to require him to go through different progressions, go through half field, full field reads, throw a variety of different routes. Well, let's see what he can digest and then how he performs post snap.
Off the hands of B.J. Hammond at the tight end position. Talking with Dak Prescott yesterday about the guys behind him at the quarterback position, and he said really all of these guys we have now That includes the quarterbacks you mentioned that we won't see today, Damian Williams and Elijah Staley. All of them are more talented now than I was at that age.
I think they're more physically gifted in terms. I think there's some things that Dak Prescott, he has to work on to be good at in some areas. There are some things that Elijah Staley and Damian Williams just do naturally from an arm talent standpoint.
Fitzgerald gets touched, and that'll be a sack. It's the first sack for the Maroon team. So Damian Williams, Fitzgerald, and Staley. Williams had minor surgery on his throwing shoulder. He's been going through reps, but obviously not throwing the ball much. And Elijah Staley with a knee injury. If this were a real game, their availability may look different.
Coach was referencing just how strong Elijah Staley's arm is. Just has tremendous arm talent. Very excited about the prospect of him in the passing game.
First punt of the day for the white team. And Devin Bell. It's a nice little hop, and that'll trickle to a stop right at the 25-yard line, a 41-yard punt. Prescott has been efficient, 10 for 14 for 93 yards and a couple of touchdowns thus far today, and he's back out to show that green jersey in the second half.
Well, that green jersey needs to be fluorescent, because this is not a guy you want any bodies near, but he's been as expected, as advertised. They know what they're going to get out of Dak Prescott. The evolution of the position for him is to now take it to the next step, managing game situations, dealing with the up-tempo, running the offense from the field without a coach from the sideline, and working through progressions in the passing game.
Back shoulder throw, another one for a first down. One of his 3 touchdown passes in the first half. Very similar situation.
I love his knowledge of where the receiver was in relationship to where the defender was. He knew after the pump fake, I couldn't throw this ball over the top. I've got the safety coming off the hash. I've got a lot of room to the sideline. Let's bring the receiver back while the defender's back is facing me. That's just a great feel for the passing game and how to make the safe throw along the sideline.
Back to the air again. Nice move to the outside by Fred Brown, picking up the first down. Now 19 for 25 through the air is Dak Prescott.
Well, as we said at halftime, very efficient. This has not been a sloppy spring game. This has been a game with both sides having enough veterans, enough experience and know-how as part of this football team. And you wouldn't necessarily expect that from a guy like Nick Fitzgerald, who's just a redshirt freshman. He's been extremely effective under center. And Dak Prescott, as you mentioned, Tom, an unexpected appearance here in the third quarter.
Prescott doesn't want to clean the stadium tomorrow.
That's right.
Changed his arm angle there to get it through the defender and out to Aries Williams. And Mullen said, I want him to be able to change his arm angle and get passes out, and that was a great example.
And he also wants him to be able to do 180 hops and turn his back to the target, then flip back around and know where his outlet is. Watch Dak Prescott right here. He ends up being completely shoulder square to the line of scrimmage and then throws it completely parallel to the sideline, knowing exactly where the outlet is. Great knowledge of the offense.
Incomplete. He's been around for a while, right? I mean, only Damian Robinson, who got a medical redshirt, is older than Dak Prescott on this roster. And while the coaches say we want Dak to continue to master the game, the fact of the matter is he's got some miles under his belt in terms of reps and practices and knowing what your coaching staff expects.
Right. And they know what they're going to get out of him on designated run plays. They know what they're going to get out of him when things break down and he's got to create with his feet. But when those critical downs come in a game late where it's tight and you're behind the 8 ball and you have to throw the football to win the game, that's where they want him to continue to develop in the passing game.
A little bit low below the knees to Darunya Wilson, his intended receiver. Dak was so good on third downs last year because of his running threat. He led all rushers with 7 touchdowns on third down. Or pardon me, second in the NCAA among all rushers, led all quarterbacks in that regard.
No, he's one of those guys, because of his ability to run the football, to always have them in a third and manageable situation, which is going to up your percentages of converting. 5 of 8 on third down here today as we see 3rd and 10.
Pumps left, comes back right, and that was dropped by Fred Brown. Let's check in with Casey.
Well, Tom, when we talked to Dak yesterday, his competitive nature really came out. If you remember, he said that while he doesn't want to say he talks about the Heisman Trophy, he said in the back of his head, knowing that he led that list all season and then finished 8th is motivation for him this year, because he wants to prove that he deserves to be back at the list and not 8th to finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. Yeah,
that's a great point, Casey, and a good reminder. He said, here I am leading Heismanology the whole time, right? And then we stumble at the end. He said, I knew I was going to drop, but 1st to 8th.
Right.
I don't think that was reflective. And he said, listen, it's not about individual goals, but it's every kid's dream who plays football growing up to win the Heisman Trophy.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In today's environment with so much exposure, so much access, and we got the missed field goal attempt there of 45 yards, how can you not have it be in your mind? How can you not be thinking about it? And as long as you can keep it in a healthy perspective and understand that ultimately, because it's the end of the season that costs them, ultimately the span of the season, the battle of attrition, if he has another good year, but they peak at the right time, then the Heisman is a very likely possibility. So he understands that the ultimate team production will determine the outcome of how high he is in terms of the Heisman ranking.
Yeah, his contention for the Heisman is going to be a direct correlation of the number of wins that this program has.
Absolutely.
If they're an 8-win team, he's not there. If they're an 11-win team, he's likely in the mix.
Well, and keep in mind, too, as you go down the stretch, you become more fresh and more prominent in the minds of voters the better you are at the right time of the year. You know, if Ohio State's not peaking last year at the end of the year, regardless of the loss to Virginia Tech early, it was where it happened at the time in the season that it happened. That could be the very case for Mississippi State. Ohio State wouldn't have been in the top 4 of the college football playoff. That's why it's imperative for Mississippi State to understand how to run the entire gauntlet of the season.
Benny Braswell is the new running back for the white team. Nick Fitzgerald lets it go to the outside. Great catch and move by Donald Gray. And the junior college transfer takes it all the way to the 40. 29-yard pickup for Gray.
Well, it's a 29-yard pickup, but about an 18-yard throw from the opposite hash to the deep wide sideline. Fitzgerald does a great job of using his eyes and his shoulder to steer defenders away from where he wants to go to the football. Comes back to Donald Gray, the junior college transfer, early enrollee, and a great timing hook up there along the sideline and converting for a new 1st down.
Gray, the sophomore from Memphis, really adds a spark to this offense. A little wobbly coming out of the hands of Fitzgerald. Joe Morrow hauls it in for a 1st down to the 20.
Now, Fitzgerald's a big guy, and Tom, I think his arm was hit by a defender working by. He still completes the pass, takes some zip and velocity off of the football. Let's see if his arm here off of that play action there, it was just off the shoulder. It affects the angle which the ball comes out. He still throws it right between the 1 and the 6 of Joe Morrow's jersey.
Aren't a whole lot of miles in that shoulder of Nick Fitzgerald. I mean, Dan Mullen talked about it in the first half. Not only did he play in a wishbone-based offense, but he was a wide receiver his junior year. So when he finally got a chance to play as a senior, when the established quarterback moved on to play for Troy Calhoun at Air Force in an option attack, now all of a sudden Fitzgerald's got 1 year as a starter in an offense that doesn't feature the passing game.
Not only that, you have a blank canvas when he comes in of essentially ingraining in him what you want him to know and not having to break any habits. He hadn't developed any habits yet.
Finds Donald Gray again. 2nd big catch on this drive. And Gray, who had 10 touchdowns last year as a 1st-team All-America at the JUCO level, gets a score here in the spring game from 24 yards out.
Well, again, off the little token fake in the backfield and a very well thrown ball down the sideline from Nick Fitzgerald here. Donald Gray, 2 big completions, 1 for a touchdown here on this drive. So you've got a junior college receiver to come in and add immediate depth, add some speed and athleticism, big playability, and now we're seeing a young up-and-coming quarterback that's not forced to play right away, being developed at the proper rate.
Bryce Brown, the freshman from Katy, Texas, adds the extra point. 5 plays, 73 yards, and 3:04 off the clock Two big grabs for Donald Gray. Welcome back to Starkville. It's a 28-24 lead for the white team. Let's go down to the turf and check in with Casey Smith.
Men's head basketball coach, I know you have been through a lot in your career. Coaching Final Fours, a lot of stressful situations. How much fun is it to coach football today?
This is great. These kids are playing so hard. They're really going at one another. It's been especially special to watch Prescott up close. Dak is unbelievable the way he runs his offense right down the field, and so that's been really impressive to me. But it's been exciting. Yeah, I love to see these bodies flying around, these kids hitting each other so hard.
And when you look at what this kind of day does for Mississippi State as a whole, what does that mean to you as a part of this athletic department?
Well, the success they've had in football here, this past year in particular, where they were #1 in the country for 5 straight weeks, helps everybody. We all feed off of that. Off the success that Dan Mullins, his staff, and players have brought to Mississippi State is phenomenal. So it's so exciting to be here. And anywhere that there's great football at the highest level in college, you can be great in basketball too.
While you're a football coach today, what are you looking forward to for this basketball season, and what are the expectations for your team?
Well, #1, I'm really excited just to be here. It's a great opportunity. When you look at the history and tradition of our basketball program, it's been very good. Richard Williams took this program to the Final Four in 1996. Rick Stansbury had a long, successful run here, a consistent success. So it's been done here before. The Hump is a great home court. We're excited to get our fans really revved up again and really support our program. And, recruiting's the key. It's the lifeblood of all programs, basketball included. And so that's our biggest focus right now, is helping our current players improve and adding to these kids to really put together a team that can be successful next season.
And being able to coach in this conference, the SEC, you mentioned recruiting, but what else does this conference present to you as a head basketball coach?
Well, the conference is great. When you look at the top, Kentucky and Florida, and what they've accomplished on the national level, over the history of those programs here the last 20 years, it's been phenomenal. And I think those programs are really forcing everyone to raise their level, raise their significance of being great has really helped, I think, everybody else. And so I think the resources are now being put into the basketball programs, and you're seeing a lot of teams that are going to be very successful. And for us, we have 14 teams in. We want to have 7, 8, 9 teams get in the tournament every year. That's ultimately what it's about, getting into the NCAA tournament.
I know that these fans are hoping you can get back to the Final Four soon, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Casey, thanks. With Ben Howland, who's the honorary coach today of the white team. Right now, his squad leads by 4. Okay, so what's at stake here is the losing team has to clean the stadium tomorrow, including coaches. Does that extend to honorary coaches?
I think it's got to. His name's on the roll call sheet. He's on the roster.
And he's making those 4th down calls.
It's all or none. He is. And he hasn't converted all of them.
Hampton Howard is the new quarterback in for the Maroon team. He gets pressured and sacked by Brian Houston.
Maybe he'll play the recruit card. I got to go recruit, guys. I'm sorry.
I can't get on the road. 4th sack today for the white team. Howard, a freshman from Foley, Alabama. He had a few different stops in his high school career, so he's played in different offenses. And he'll come to the sideline after the 3rd down sack that brings on the 3rd punt of the day for the Maroon team. Logan Cook gets it away. That's a beauty of a punt. We will have no returns today, and so the catch made at the 23-yard line. Jamoral Graham handling the receiving duties on the return game.
And Jamoral Graham was a guy that came in last year as a true freshman, ended up becoming one of their returners, feature returners, played on the offensive side of the football, but they moved him to defense to play some corner, a multifaceted athlete. He was an in-state prospect. It was a highly touted guy, expected big things out of him in the future as we see the white offense take the field once again under redshirt freshman Nick Fitzgerald, who, Tom, I don't know about you, but you've got to be pretty impressed with the stature and the prowess and really the feel and presence of the position for a young guy.
Yeah, great poise today. He's thrown for 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. And so long throws outside the numbers
right
from the other hash.
Those are the throws that not everybody's gifted with being able to make. He can make those things effortlessly. And Coach Mullen talked to us about his ability to hit every nook and cranny of the field on pure arm talent alone, and he's a deceptively good athlete. We saw a little bit of that earlier in the first half as he rushed for a touchdown as well.
Hey, listen, if Dan Mullen is comparing you to Alex Smith,
only saying more bigger and athletic. And we both looked at him and said, huh?
Recruited Alex Smith to Utah, where he and Urban Meyer using the zone read offense and the spread to an undefeated season before moving on to Florida.
There he goes.
It's a phantom whistle out of nowhere from the white team.
With the, you know, the suggestive green non-contact jersey.
Yeah. And they'll credit Gary Green, a redshirt freshman from Greenville, Mississippi, with the stop. Breather for the big fellas as we end the third quarter. 4-point lead for the white here at Wade Davis Stadium. Come back to Mississippi State spring football presented by Regions Bank from Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville. It's spring for us announcers too. And one play on that drive from the white team, and this is how it ended up. Perhaps the best, most athletic play of the game. Fitzgerald gets rocked and the ball's picked off on a leaping grab.
I'm going to say something about Nick Fitzgerald. He's figured out when to throw an interception when you're not on camera.
Well, all quarterbacks should learn that.
Bodrick Oliver, number 33, with that interception as it goes over on downs now to Hampton Howard for the Maroon team.
Nice grab by Oliver. Nice pickup by my color man. Back to work for Hampton Howard. We saw Hampton briefly on that last possession for the Maroon team, freshman from Foley, Alabama. And he is handing it off to Aries Williams, and Aries Williams with a nice run down the side. Freshman, redshirt freshman from down the road in West Point. Mississippi's Mr. Football as a senior in 2012. Part of the development of this program is having a running back like this.
And I don't want to diminish the productivity and what Josh Robinson meant to this offense, but I think as a group, they have better body structure and probably more pure ability at the running back position. From Dontavius Lee to Ashton Shumpert, we just saw Williams as a group than they have with Robinson. I think this is going to be a team that's going to be just fine in the running game in the fall.
So out of the pistol, we talked about the honorary coaches today and their play calling. We're taking it a step further. Casey Smith, I believe, has something drawn up here.
Coach, I've been working on this all day. I think the next play you need to call is Brown right, F short, 2-jet flanker drive. What do you think?
I'll tell you, that'd be a great call in this situation, but I don't know that the crew that we have in the game right now is going to be able to run that play that you got up right there. But I was expecting her to come in and say, hey, why don't we just throw it here or run it? She got her work done, ready to go play to come out here for the game today.
Just come out with a little sprint right option there, Casey. I mean, make it easy on everybody.
Hey, I've been doing my research. Isn't that what spring's for, getting better and developing mentally?
I think Coach was more worried about whether they'd be able to say the whole paragraph in the in the huddle.
He's got the terminology down, that's for sure.
Big play here right now. Coming down, you're getting in there, the Maroon team. Not many more opportunities left in this game. They get the ball here. Third down at the
hey, Coach, hey, listen,
17.
They're down by 4. They don't want to bring out the brooms tomorrow cleaning up the stadium now.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, where do you see at the end of this game? It gets pretty competitive right now. Oh, great tackle by Keelan Chairs right there to bring up 4th down. Hey, Coach, I'm going to say they got to go for it. We're running clock here in the second half. So
folks don't want to hear me and Luke's chatter anymore. What if we just eavesdropped on you for a little bit as you watch this 4th down play? That'd be fair?
Oh yeah, this is a huge call right here. You know, because what you're going to see is the coaching strategy, if they don't get it here, of the white team pretending that they're trying to get guys on the field and trying to figure out how to call a play and how to do things as the clock ticks away right here in the running clock of the 4th quarter. Oh, the screen. Broke a tackle. Is he short?
Oh, he's short, Coach, about a yard.
Down.
And a flag. Could be replaying it.
No, it's on the offense. They're going to decline it. So here's the tricky part for me, to keep the guys playing and speed them up, to say, hey, let's get moving and not with all this. They'll decline it right here. White ball, go! They're short. Are they short?
There is no foul for offensive pass interference. The pass was behind the line.
Coach, you spent some time at the end of practice on Thursday clearing the coaches off the field and just having the quarterbacks run the offense and move the team down the field. How imperative is that to your off-season success?
You know what? It's so huge because you're talking about right now, you know, our guys, this is it. After today, we cannot be on the field with these guys until August 1st with a ball or any of that stuff. You know, I think we're probably one of the only sports in the world where leading into a season and that far of a season that the coaches can't coach the players. They got to kind of coach themselves. So, you know, it's great having a guy like Dak Prescott who's going to be out there. He's going to run an offensive practice. He's going to get reps and get things taught with the whole offense so that we're fresh. You know, we come back to start the fall camp better than how we left off the spring ball.
Hey, Coach, we were wondering up here for this Maroon team, if they don't pull this thing out, they end up having to clean the stadium. Is Ben Howland having to get the broom out as well?
Well, yeah, he's the coach right there. You better be here tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Trash bag in hand. You know, we got a big crowd here today right there. There's going to be a lot of trash out there.
Yeah, hot dog wrappers and popcorn boxes. Hey, you brought Manny Diaz back. He was here a few years ago. How does he fit in with the program with his return to Starkville?
You know, I think the one thing, Manny, a lot's changed since when he left. A lot's changed here with us, and a lot's changed with him. But the expectations of what our program is and my expectations of how I want to see our defense play. Not the scheme, not the play call, you know, the psycho defense. I want 11 guys playing nasty, playing physical, running to the football. That hasn't changed. And it's great to get a guy that has that experience, has that background to me, that knows how to do that, you know, and knows what my expectations of him are going to be. Hey, get him out. Yeah, get him out.
The ball come loose?
It did.
Maroon team has it. It's setting up for an interesting finish with this running clock. Manny Diaz's team has the ball back after the takeaway. He led the nation in takeaways last year at Louisiana Tech.
What's that? I'm sorry, I missed you there with the excitement.
No, see now all of a sudden the Maroon team, Coach, they're back at it. Defense is pumped up. They want to get this W.
Hurry it up right now.
I know
it's a ticking.
So you got Hampton Howard trying to lead this Maroon team to a comeback.
Well, you guys earlier told me, said if we're not done by
a certain clock, we're going to call it. We're playing to the clock's finishes.
You know, you coach in the spring, you're coaching up officials too.
That's right.
Yeah, we got them all out here.
All right, so 7 minutes to go, and the
find out who on this field can make a play to win the game.
Fate of the Maroon team rests in the hands of Hampton Howard, and he hands it off.
Hey, get him. Hey, Harris, get a running back in here. Harris, get Harris out. Harris, who's your backup? Who's your backup? Better get him in. Clock's running.
DeAndre Fair will check in for the Maroon team. Get him snapped up and ready.
Huh? Bunch it up right here. Get right here on the sidelines and run down the field.
No gain for DeAndre Fair. Dan, quarterback's always trying to talk you into something. What's he trying to talk you into now?
Yeah, they got some trick play drawn up to a D lineman. I don't know. Tell him to get his helmet on. Maybe I'll say yes. Who's coming out? You got to have 11, though.
Coach, you know as well as I do that when Pat and Go starts at the beginning of every practice, every lineman gets in it thinking they're the best at it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens right here now. Oh, get the first. I might not need the trick play.
Plunging ahead on third down is
not
Fair.
Yet. Keep going.
5.5 to go now. Your former quarterback, Brian Johnson, doing a good job running this offense. What kind of impact has he had on Dak Prescott in this offense?
You know, I think Brian is a great young football coach, but also I think just his experience of playing and playing at such a high level. I mean, a lot of people remember seeing him.
Oh, did the ball come out again?
I remember remember seeing him, you know, beating Alabama in the Sugar Bowl when he played at Utah in his last game. And, you know, I think that experience as a player, a younger guy with that experience, great knowledge of the game, knowledge of the position, and another guy knows what I expect since I coached him.
Yeah.
So,
it's a third white turnover.
Hey, make sure.
First maroon turnover.
D. Lee's out.
You're out. You're out.
And that one just popped loose. Quadri Antoine is able to haul it in. Coach, thanks for your time. Thanks for having us this weekend. We know that it's been a successful spring for you. We look forward to being back in the fall.
Yeah, I can't wait to have you guys, and I know everybody can't wait to get that football started, and can't wait. That's the best time of the year right there. We get into that September and get ball going again.
Indeed. And so this one coming down to the last 4 minutes of action. Somebody will be sweeping the stands tomorrow.
That white defense, bend but don't break, man.
They got the takeaway late. Nathan Geeb going to get some reps with the white team after the play of Nick Fitzgerald through 3+ quarters. White might need a trick play. Up by 4. Yeah, a few timeouts left. Coach, you going to let him take timeouts?
We will eventually here. If they don't get a first down, I'm definitely going to give it to them right there. They got to win it on the field right here, you know? I don't let them kind of skirt these running clock rules right now. Because the coaches don't want to be here.
Any chance we can get the film?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get it. We'll make sure that
everybody's graded, right? And everybody wants to improve.
Absolutely. Hey, it's spring ball for every one of us.
What is? I mean, we're very fortunate. SEC. We have such great officials, and they work so hard of doing things the right way. Uh-oh.
Geeb's going to take off.
You got a punt?
Let's change things up a little bit. Casey standing by with Dak Prescott. Casey?
Dak, I saw you go out there and talk to Coach Mullen about a play call you wanted to see. What do you want to see from your team out there?
We got a big defensive lineman, number 88, so he has the eligible number. He's around here on the sideline somewhere, and just want him to get him over here in the receiver and run a go route and score a touchdown. He's very athletic, so I think he'd get good laughs, too.
I hear you guys, if you lose, you have to clean the stadium tomorrow. How badly do you want to make sure that doesn't happen?
Very bad. Yeah, it's a 10 o'clock wake up and get in the stadium and make sure it's all cleaned and pick up the trash, so it's no fun. I've done it in the past, and I've been on the good side, too, so I'd rather sleep in or do something or go to church or something better.
Well, you might have to go back out there and tell your head coach what you want to see on this series.
Well, I'm going to try.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Maroon team has a shot, but they got a lot of yardage in front of them. Let's see if they're going to stop the clock at all, because it's running at 2:04. Nick James, was the guy Dak was talking about, 6'5", 325 junior from down in Long Beach, Mississippi. And so we'll keep an eye out for big number 88. Yeah, you quarterbacks are always thinking. He made sure to note that he's got an eligible number.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not cheating here.
Hey, listen, you ain't cheating, you're not trying, okay?
White team wasn't set. They'll uncork one deep. Got it! First down and more. The Maroon team will have a chance with 90 seconds remaining.
I can honestly say, Tom, this is the most exciting spring game we've ever had, and it's all about not cleaning the stadium the next day.
Kareem Vance with the first down. The defense wasn't set. They hoped for that in the up-tempo offense in the fall, and they're getting it here on this spring Saturday. To the ground game.
We don't have much time to be running it here.
60 seconds remaining. DeAndre Fair back in at running back. Over the middle, intercepted. Keeling Chairs has it. And Dak Prescott will grab a trash bag and a broom and a dustbin.
And a grabber. You got to have a little grabber.
Got to have the litter grabber. Only fitting that we started the day talking about a new litter of puppies and we close it talking about what they'll be sweeping up tomorrow.
Oh. Hampton Howard, he had the seam route. You just didn't see the sinking linebacker. in that hook to curl area. Look at that right there. Bring your grabber, folks.
And so it ends. The last spring practice of Dak Prescott's career. When we'll see him on a field next, it'll be the opener at Southern Miss, as Dak Prescott and the Maroon team fall today to the white team 28-24. We've got plenty of spring football coming your way today. Coming up next, it's the SEC Spring Football Whip Around. 3 more games coming your way this afternoon. For Tom Loganville and Casey Smith, I'm Tom Hart. We're today in Stark Vegas, Mississippi State played its maroon and white game on Super Bulldog weekend. The winners get the spoils, the losers pick them up. Thanks for watching, and good afternoon from Starkville.